Right now, right here, I want to present a mathematical way, a rigorous argument, or statistical or probabilistic argument to analyze whether it is really worthwhile, whether it is really worth it to take the vaccine, and also which lead to a certain chance of getting the side effects. And this analysis or mathematical analysis comes from an individual perspective that you want to look at it from a completely selfish standpoint. Salute to those people who took the vaccines in order to protect your elderly, your children at home, and to take the vaccine in order to prevent the spread of the viruses and for the sake of the whole society. But this analysis is completely based on a selfish standpoint, assuming that you are a completely selfish person, assuming that you are a jerk who only think about yourself. So let's start. Many pro, I mean, many people who urge others to take the vaccine, they always have the arguments that even though taking the vaccines has a certain chance to 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 um, to get the side effects, even though those side effects can be very severe, like those side effects can be blood clotting, can be brain damage, can be death, can be um, heart attack, and stroke, and subsequently death. However, the people who are in favor of taking the vaccine, they argue that these side effects also will appear after you catch the viruses, after you get the COVID-19 viruses. However, if these side effects coming from the vaccine are often milder, less severe, and also appear in a lower probability. So let's assuming that this is true. Let's assuming that the probability of having these severe health problems or having these severe side effects from catching the viruses is higher than is 10 times higher than the probability of getting the side effects from catching the vaccine itself. So I will assign the probability of getting the side effects from vaccination to be 1%. So if you get the vaccine, you have 1% chance of having sudden heart attack. You have 1% chance of getting blood clotting. You have 1% chance of getting those probabilities sum up together to be 1%. However, it is a subjective probability. Some people may argue it to be lower. The official will argue it to be significantly lower. Others, from a personal perspective, is actually an understatement. I would say probably 10% of people get severe side effects, but I will assign to be 1% right here. So we want to know the probability of getting the same side effects if you are unvaccinated. So if you are unvaccinated, you will also get those blood clotting from catching the viruses, right? Because catching the viruses will also lead to the same side effects, but at a higher probability, which is the hypothesis that I have just stated. So you want to compare the probability of getting the side effects after you get vaccinated versus the probability of getting the side effects if you are unvaccinated. And if the probability of getting the side effects if you are unvaccinated is higher than the probability of getting the side effects if you are from vaccine, then you will want to get the vaccine, right? So, as stated, the probability of having the side effects from vaccination is 1%. And also, the vaccine can only protect you from the viruses within 6 months. Um, After 6 months, the vaccine no longer works. The vaccine will just disappear. And within the 6 months, I also make the assumption that if you take the vaccine, you will be 100% immune from the viruses, which of course isn't true. But I'm assuming that it's 100%. No matter if you don't wear a mask and you just go out running in a grocery store, you will never get the viruses. And also, I also assume that the probability of after you get the COVID-19 once, you will never catch it again, which is also not true. There is also evidence that if you catch the COVID-19 once within 6 months, within the 6 months, you can catch it twice. But I will just assume that you will only catch it once, and this is a big assumption. After you get the vaccine or catch the virus, you'll never catch the virus. So, what is the probability of having side effects if you are unvaccinated? The sequence of getting the side effects if you are unvaccinated can only come from if you catch the virus, right? So we want to know what is the probability of catching the virus, and also what is the probability of having those side effects after you catch the virus. So from the hypothesis, we know that the probability of getting the side effects from the virus is 10 times higher than the probability of getting the side effects from vaccine. So the probability of getting side effects from the virus will be 10% upon 1. But we don't know what is the probability of catching the virus within these 6 months. And in order for the probability of getting side effects if you are unvaccinated to be smaller than the probability of getting side effects from vaccine, you can compare the two, and then after you subtract and do the inequality, you want to make sure that the probability of catching the virus within the 6 months to be less than 10%, in order for you to not do any vaccination, right? So if you know that the probability of catching the virus within the 6 months to be greater than 10%, then you better go to take the vaccine, because you will catch the virus and also have those side effects like blood clotting, death, and also heart attack and brain damage from the vaccine. So if you know that, you always go to grocery store, you are urgent care workers who work in hospital, then of course within the 6 months you will have more than 10% chance to catch the virus. So these people should get the vaccine based on this mathematical analysis, based on the probabilistic argument. But let's think about it, whether 10% of catching the virus within the 6 months is really reasonable, or is it an understatement or is it an overstatement? So if you think about it, 6 months has a time span of 180 days. So for every day, you probably will go out to the grocery store or take. If you work from home, you also will go out to pick up some food from the dasher, and you also may, if you order Amazon, then you will also meet with the delivery workers. So if you want to make sure that the probability of catching the virus within the 6 months to be less than 10%, what is the probability of you want to control the probability of catching the virus every day on a single day to be a certain percentage. So we want to know what that certain percentage is, and I will assign this probability to be x. So you want to have the 1 minus x to the power of 180 to be less than 10%. And that in turns means that x should be greater than 0.9994. And that would also mean that if you don't take the vaccine, you want to make sure that the probability of catching the virus to be less than 0.0585%. So 0.0585% every day on a single day within the 6 months. You want to control that probability to be you want to control the probability of getting the virus to be less than this probability. If you can do that, then you can avoid taking the vaccine. If you know that you can't make sure that it can be controlled within this very small number, then you better want to go out and take the vaccine and have those 1% chance of getting a severe side effects. So this is the probability argument. If you are a guy who works who work from home, you never go out to the grocery store, then this may work for you, and you may you may stay unvaccinated. But if you may want to go to some music festival with your friends, then of course this doesn't apply to you, and you would better get the vaccine. But throughout this mathematical analysis, throughout this probability argument, I have made the assumption that the assumption is that after you catch the virus or you take the vaccine, you will never get it within the 6 months. This would not be true. The protection rate from the virus or the protection rate from the vaccine will only be 95% or 90%. Then this mathematical argument will not work anymore, and you have to calculate the probability to be. You will have to use a geometric series to calculate the probability of catching it once, catching it twice, catching it 3 times, and then you want to sum up and compare. But I will leave it to be as an exercise to the reader. And so this is my mathematical argument. If you don't want to take the vaccine, you better want to control the probability of catching the virus on a single day to be less than 0.0585%. Thank you very much. Bye bye.